Okay, welcome everybody to the August regular board meeting. We have a quorum, so let's stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have any agenda revisions?
No, sir.
We'll go ahead and do Sheridan Showcase.
So this evening, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Davis. They have been working on a whole lot of stuff at the high school, and this is kind of a big impact on our upcoming freshmen. So I'll turn it over to you, sir.
I want to share with you this evening for you guys to hear about it for the first time, and then hopefully next month give your stamp of approval to some stuff we've been working on at the high school in a way that I think truly will better reflect the successes of our students than the current programs we have right now. It's a Latin honors recognition or program. So when you think about the history, the concept of valedictorian started in the 1700s at the College of William and Mary, and it was based on whoever the best Latin student was. They were entitled to give a speech because the word valedictorian comes from the Latin word valere or something like that. My Latin's not very good. And they would give the farewell speech at graduation. Well, it started out like that, and then it shifted from Latin proficiency to really just being a student with the highest grade point average. And that happened and shifted down to the high school level through the early 1900s and continued that way for for 100 years. Yeah, it was fairly consistent. The student ranked first with the highest GPA was honored with valedictorian, second place salutatorian. Well, in the first few decades of the 2000s, due to increased levels of scrutiny, multiple complexities, the schools began to shift to the college system. You may be more familiar with that Latin honors system of summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude. For quite some time, and to be honest, I didn't have time to go back through all the yearbooks and see when the first one was, but for quite some time, Sheridan High Schools ranked students by their GPA, recognized both the valedictorian and salutatorian. The Sheridan High School Faculty Council, we began talking about this in 2024, but really it's been about 10 or 11 years that I've noticed and been in conversation with other principals. It's just getting harder and harder to deal with valedictorian and salutatorian because there's so many options available to kids, so many routes that they can go, so many different ways they can earn credits. Years ago, pretty much everybody took the same path, and everybody was on kind of that same route. And that is so different now that makes it very complex. So the current practice of awarding a valedictorian and salutatorian has lots of complexities and issues and concerns. One of those would be student well-being. For some students, or perhaps it's self-inflicted, or maybe their parents or family members put some pressure on them to do that, and that stress can be a lot for students to try to maintain or earn that top-ranked position. It is truly an overemphasis on GPA. It encourages students to focus on their grades rather than their overall learning, creativity, or personal growth. It discourages collaboration. You might have 2 or 3 students competing for the top spot, and they don't want to give it up to the other, so instead of working together, they might try to actually work against each other. I have seen that happen. And anxiety over small differences. The difference between number 1 and 2 can be a mere hundreds or sometimes thousands of points that separate them, but yet those stakes feel huge. Students will also try to game the system. Students will choose courses based on GPA weight rather than entrance relevance or challenge, meaning like they might choose to take an AP or weighted dual credit class in order to boost the GPA, avoiding electives that might lower it. For example, I have had in my career students who were band students all through middle school and high school, hit the senior year, and I've had a student say, I'm not taking band this year. Well, why? You love band. I do love band. Why aren't you taking it? It's going to lower my GPA. It's not weighted. I'm not taking it. That's the wrong thing we want from education. We want students to follow their passions and learn. Unequal access is another part of it. Not all students have the same level of access and support to honors, AP, and dual credit due to scheduling conflicts or just their own resources that might be limited. Course load imbalance, sometimes they overload themselves and sacrifice their well-being. And also we, again, as I mentioned earlier, this diversity and expansion of educational opportunities. Students can take such different educational pathways. Some may have more opportunities for dual credit than others, but if you're adding more things to it, that can lower your GPA. We actually had a student just a few years ago who he got salutatorian, but he graduated, I want to say if I remember correctly, with 63 credits and an outstanding GPA. The valedictorian went to somebody, I think, with 48 or 52 credits. So he took more than 10 more credit earning classes, most of those weighted, but because he had so many more classes, he could never catch up to that number one spot. He was fine in second place though. GPA and ranking inequities, weighting, schools vary from school to school on how they weight honors and AP courses. Transfer students have a disadvantage depending on how they come in, with things that are either weighted or not, how the grading scales might be different when they move in. There's also the real difference between teacher grading differences. As much as we try to have commonality in that, there are nuances between different teachers and how they grade things, which can impact GPAs. And then sometimes you have the tie-breaking situations. We've had dual credit or dual valedictorians 2 or 3 times in the past 4 or 5 years. Narrow recognition, it often overlooks diverse excellence. The valedictorian salutatorian system focuses solely on one thing, GPA. And it ignores all the other metrics that we look at and all the other things that are coming on board that we want our students to experience. It is that single measure of achievement, and students who have tremendous talent in music, even athletics or innovation, may not be recognized at all if that GPA, which we tell them when they come into high school, your GPA is important, we want you to have a good one, but that's not what matters. We tell them when they come in, we want you to be involved. We want you to do your best every single day. Try to get a good GPA, but that's not the be-all, end-all of everything. And again, students who maybe would be demotivated by a system where only 1 or 2 are recognized with that aspect. There is this trend with more and more schools moving to this Latin honor system instead of the winner-take-all rankings. Equity concerns, the titles can inadvertently privilege students with access to more resources such as tutors, family academic backgrounds, and so forth. And then this has been a big one the last 2 years, public speaking obligations. Our valedictorian and salutatorian have historically given speeches at graduation. The last 2 years, I've had one of them each year say, I don't want to give a speech. And they were very uncomfortable, got up there and gave about 35 seconds, and that was about all they wanted to do. And so it unfairly puts that pressure on them as well. And I have had students who were in the first or second spot, and because of having to give a speech, they're like, nope, and then they purposely get a lower grade just to keep from getting that first or second spot. There is a concern that people have about post-secondary implications. Well, what about colleges? Colleges and the class rank. The most recent study that I read that talked about colleges looking at GPA said less than 19% of colleges even pay attention to GPA. Again, because there's such variability from school to school, state to state, and everything else, it's not a valid measure. They might look at it, but it's definitely not one of the things that they pay highest attention to. Typically, they want to see the course load that a student is taking, and they want to see involvement in things beyond classroom. There is that inflated importance where students or families may overvalue the title. They might themselves define it as a factor in admissions, then they rarely weigh it heavily. Other things that can happen, parental disputes. Families sometimes get mad at each other. I have dealt with this as well, where they challenge the rankings or grading decisions if they very narrowly miss the top. Peer resentment to students can get very jealous and have a lot of tension there. And in some districts, fortunately, not one I've been in, there have been legal challenges to the rankings of students when it comes to valedictorian and salutatorian. A lot of schools, and I just grabbed a quick handful of them that have shifted to Latin honors. I think in our area, Carmel was probably the first, but Noblesville and Westfield have followed suit. Loganstown, Yorktown, Perry Meridian, Greenfield Central, and others. A lot, and I can't tell you, a lot of principals are talking about. Just today, I got an email from Winchester, and Kara, their principal, she was lamenting on what do I do with these kids who are graduating at this time and they're taking these classes, and what about valedictorian, salutatorian? And several of the responses were like, hey, we're looking at implementing a Latin honor system just because it has just spread out in so many different directions. So the proposal that we came up with, it actually works out really well with the incoming class of 2029 because they have a new diploma. And with that new diploma, they don't have to, but we're telling them we want them to also earn a seal. So there are seals for enrollment, if they're planning to go to college, employment, if they want to go into the workforce, or enlistment if they're planning to go to the military. So those are the 3 areas of the SEALs. And as they come in, we say, you're picking a SEAL. You're a freshman, what SEAL are you aiming for? This is what you're going for. You can stretch and reach high and hard and try and get the Honors Plus SEAL, but at a minimum, we want you to graduate with one of those 3 SEALs. So this works out really well because if we're just looking at GPA, we're forgetting about the impact of those SEALs. Because a student who's taking work-based learning and earning lots of hours with that, they won't have as high a GPA as somebody who's solely focused on the AP dual credit stuff. Well, shouldn't the student who is pursuing and doing a great job of pursuing that SEAL for employment or enlistment also be recognized for their success? So this fits in really well. What we want to do is a recognition of exceptional academic achievement tied into those honors distinctions of the Latin system. We'll look at the cumulative GPA and the completion of an honors or honor plus SEAL in the 3 areas of enrollment, employment, or enlistment. We will look preliminarily at the end of the 7th semester because we can't wait all the way to the end because awards come before then. So in awards presentations, we'll award students based on their ranking. At graduation, the goal will be that they will have special stoles or recognition of which of the 3 areas that they're in. The final honors will be confirmed after the 8th semester, and if their GPA changes or they no longer meet the required threshold, or if they rise to it, we will adjust their ranking and their title and their honor, their recognition prior to graduation so that it is correct at the time of commencement. The 3 recognitions, summa cum laude, which is with the greatest honor, that'd be students, they have to have above a 4.0. And we have more and more students doing that because of weighted classes. And they have to have an honors plus SEAL. They're going to be working their tails off to do that in any of the 3 areas of employment, enrollment, or enlistment. Magnum cum laude with great honor, students that earn a GPA of 3.8 to 3.99 or higher, and an honors or honors plus SEAL. Now students who earn above a 4.0 but they don't meet the SEAL requirement, they can still be Magnum cum laude, they just wouldn't reach the summa cum laude. So we had to create that little carve out. If they did get like a 4.2 but they didn't get the SEAL for the honors plus, then they can be Magnum cum laude. And then cum laude with honor, students with a cumulative GPA of 3.5 to 3.79 and a SEAL, one of the SEALs. So those are the breakdowns, and that was probably the most complicated discussion that we had as a staff because we kept trying to think of outliers to different things, and I think on our 4th or 5th run through it all, this is what came up, and the Faculty Advisory Council said, yep, this will work, this is what we're going to go with, pending board approval and acceptance. The graduation seals, I believe you have a copy of it with you. It's way too small for any of us to read there. It's probably too small to read on the piece of paper that you've got unless you have readers or a magnifying glass. But that outlines the basic differences between the seals. The enrollment seal is very much like the academic honors diploma of the current diploma track, and then employment and enlistment are different additions to that. The Honors Plus adds in extra criteria like earning the ICC, work-based learning experience, and so forth. Some additional information people want to know, well, is rank still going to be done? PowerSchool automatically ranks the students, so we will know their rank. The student who's first in class will still have the ability to know, I'm first in class, I graduated top of my class. They will still be able to know that. It will also allow us, and this hasn't been confirmed, but this is the general plan, what we'd like to do, is to offer those graduations speech opportunities beyond the class officers to, whether we have 1 or 2 will depend on what we decide, I guess, but in terms of those speeches, but we'll start with who got first. It's like, hey, you were top of your class, you have the first opportunity if you'd like to speak at graduation. And if they're like, nope, then we'll go down to number 2, and we'll just work our way down because they have achieved that level of honor. And that's it. Entertain any questions you might have.
Yes.
Nancy?
The definitions of the categories, are those universal or are they unique to each school?
Every school, you've got the category titles, but every school determines how they tie that in. Some schools still solely look only at GPA. Other schools tie in things like participation in athletics or extracurriculars to help delineate where their places are. There are a few schools, I think Logansport's one of them, where they only say we're only going to give out like 5 summa cum laudes, 10, I'm making up the numbers, but they have parameters on the numbers of those that they'll give out. Our main goal is to focus on that SEAL attainment.
Okay.
Other questions?
So I got a question.
Yes.
So you mentioned at the end, the offer to speak during graduation. Typically you announce our valedictorian, so-and-so. Will it just be kind of like, this based on merit or based on?
The exact wording I haven't figured out.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be titled valedictorian or
Right.
salutatorian, but there would probably be a little something in the program graduation speeches by a class officer and based upon student merit. Yeah, something like that.
So just,
Don't have the wording of that figured out yet. We got
Sure.
a couple years, but we'll get there.
so just to be clear though, you're not looking to cap the number of students that would qualify for any three of these?
No.
If you have 20 summa cum laude, that's what you got?
Yep. And they've got to hit that 3.5 GPA,
Sure.
and then you look to the seals.
Sure.
And then that next cutoff.
What's the point in the weighted grade system if we're not competing anymore for that higher grade point average? Why not make everything flat scale?
I don't think we could run two systems in Power School that would do that. The way the system exists, I don't think we can insert a flat scale and have it follow along. So if we cut everything to flat scale, you're gonna make a whole lot of people very, very angry when their GPA went from a 4.4 down to a 4.0. That's part of it.
But a 4 point.
The other reason why the weighting is there is to show that there is a significant difference in the level of rigor for a college class, a dual credit class, an AP class, which is a college class, versus a general education class. The rigor and the expectations of the classes are much higher than what the general education classes are. So to reward the effort in that rigor, that's why you have weighted grades.
But the colleges are looking less at that now, right?
They don't look so much at the grading, they look at the course load. I guarantee they look to say who's taking AP, dual credit, those in honors level courses, that they zero in on that. They care less about what the GPA is because a B in one school might be 85 and higher, a B in another school might be 87 and higher, a B in another school might be 82 and higher. So there's that variability among schools and states, everything. They care less about what the actual GPA is, but what they're taking. And they want to see the rigor of the
That
course.
makes sense. I didn't.
Yeah.
As I said, so.
No, your kid's not there yet.
No.
Will be sooner
Well,
than
we're gonna get to third grade next year, so,
Coming up quick.
yeah. What class would this start in?
It would start with the current freshman.
Okay.
Based on your experience, do you have some kind of projection of like how many of our students would qualify for one of those?
I have no idea about the seal part of it. I don't know that. If I base it off of academic honors diploma as just kind of a similar criteria, I guess. I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly group with the high-enders that were in last year's graduating class. I think we had 32 or 36, right in the mid-30s of those who got academic honors diplomas in that class. Not all of them had above a 3.5. I would say of that group, at least as a 3.5 was probably 30. And then from there, the ones above a 4 would have been about 4 or 5. So at our typical class size, I would guess summa cum laude, we would probably, again, not knowing the seal factor, I would say if you're looking kind of just at the GPA as an initial criteria, you would hit probably about 5 to 7, maybe 8 that are above that. We have more doing it because we're really pushing the early college program and are in the ICC. So I think that number will grow as students build confidence in that level of courses. But roughly 10%, a little bit less, 8 to 10% of the class would possibly be able to get the summa cum laude. Then you'd have a bigger chunk of magna cum laude and even a larger portion of cum laude.
That's good.
And their recognition at commencement ceremony would just be their core.
They'd have a stole and their name would probably have a little marking beside it right now. Like right now, their names have, if it's an academic honors diploma, National Honor
Yeah.
Society, it's got all the asterisks and
Mhm.
exclamation points, it's got a whole legend of different things there. So there would be a way that we would
Yeah.
signify that as well.
Have you talked to any parents about this change?
I've only had one conversation I've had a conversation with 2 parents. One was a parent who was not overly pleased last year at the valedictorian salutatorian situation. And then I talked to a parent who had heard through the rumor mill that this was happening and they were worried about their current senior Yeah.
have buy-in there.
Yeah, not reached out beyond that. There are several parents that are on the faculty advisory council, and they've supposed to have taken it back to their departments for feedback as well too. So you kind of have that school-connected family aspect.
I think the part that they've added, that number one will still get a chance to make the speech, is a big deal that they figured out here. Because I know that when we went through this in my last district, that was not added. And that became the big deal, and well, then who's speaking?
That was mine.
I love the way you guys have figured that out, of keeping track still. And then you're right, because I know last year one of our kiddos didn't want to give a speech. Now you can go right down the list, so I think that'll help tremendously.
Any other questions? Again, if you think about it, I'll be back next month to kind of get your, like, let's move forward with it. But I want to present it to you, share it with you, and then give you a chance to think about it and see if other questions come up as well.
Sorry, I got one more question.
You're fine.
I just wanna understand, cause the honors and honors plus seal are new.
Mm-hmm.
And you have students in 4.0 who do not meet the seal requirements, which would be honors plus seal.
Right.
Can still get magna cum laude. Will they still be on the same level of magna cum laude as someone who gets the honors seal with a 3.8 to 3.9?
Yeah, it would still be
Or does it
magna.
shift everyone down?
It would just be magna cum laude. It wouldn't be like magna cum laude plus. It would just be magna cum laude.
Okay, so that range is actually for, I'm just making sure I understand it. For the honors seal, 3.8 to 4.0 and above is magna cum laude, right?
For not the honors plus seal, but the honors seal.
The honors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I
make
wanna
sure I heard you right.
Yeah, okay. Cause that still leaves summa cum laude, I probably sound like an idiot. Summa cum laude exclusive to honors plus.
Yep,
seal.
only honors
Okay.
plus and above a 4.0. Which, if they're taking the number of dual credit classes to earn the ICC or an associate's degree,
Mhm.
and they've got above that 4.0 GPA, then by golly, that's
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Okay, just making sure I
Yeah.
understand the levels.
My only feedback is I would, get more feedback from parents of class of 29.
Okay.
That's my,
If I can, with your approval to share it with them, I can certainly create a post and ask for feedback. If they have thoughts or concerns about it, questions. Anything else? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alright. Clearly did not take a Latin class, I can't say those over.
You did great, sir.
We'll move on to item 5, public comment. Alright, move on to the consent agenda. We have 5 items to discuss. Do we have any discussion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Sir, do you mind if I make sure I recognize those who did donations? So we did have some significant donations this month. Michael and Rachel Krupp had a very nice donation to the volleyball program. Faye Weir, Sandra Davis, Norman Wagner, and I believe we all know a Mr. John Hunt, who was also a donator to one of our programs. So we wanna make sure we thank all of them for that. And that's how we keep our programs going, sir.
Alright, old business, any old business?
No, sir.
None. New business. Alright, we have several items here. Item 8.1, resolution 1-2025 budget calendar. Do you wanna talk?
It's just the process of how the budget's gonna roll out in the next couple months. So it gives you an idea of what to expect in September and October.
I think of all the things that have changed in our world on this part has not changed, sir, for quite some time.
Awesome. Do we have any discussion on item 8.1?
I move to approve resolution 1-2025. Resolution 1-2025.
Alright, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 5-0. Item 8.2, resolution 2025-2, financial goals.
Sir, just as a technicality, I think that ought to be flipped. Yeah, it should be resolution 2/2025, yes, sir.
Mr. President, I move to approve resolution 2-2025.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
The 56%, is that above the state requirement or is that the state requirement?
State requirement.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 8.4, obsolete equipment, 2008 bus.
I think they made a mistake.
Oh, did we miss 8.3?
But you can go with that, what you've already said.
All right, we'll go back.
Yeah.
I put a check mark already, so.
This is a request from Eric. We have had, I don't know if anybody happened to see, we've had a bus out there since 2008. We've been taking parts off of, and we can't take any more parts off that, sir. So Eric would like to have that removed from the lot.
I appreciate Eric's email in here. It was kind of funny to read.
Yes, he was.
But I do like that the fire department's gonna use it for training purposes.
Yes.
So I think that's great. All right, so item 8.4, obsolete equipment, 2008 bus. Do we have any discussion?
I move to dispose of the bus as presented.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 5-0. We'll move to 8.3, performing arts trip to, Orlando 2026.
Libby has brought this to us. She would like to take the band and some other performing art members to Orlando in March of '26. They've done this a lot in the past. They do wonderful trips, so there's no concerns on recognizing Mark here.
I was looking to see when they're going to perform and I might have missed that.
I don't think they are this year. I think it's unique. They get to go do some training, some if I'm wrong, Rick.
Yeah, I think that they get some trainings, but I'm not sure they're actually performing.
She said, she told me that in the hallway. It's a little different the way they're doing it, but they still get to go, basically take some classes while they're there.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll move to approve.
All right.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 8.5, second read policies, A100, B100, B150, B200, C125, C175, C200, C225, C425, D200, D325, E200, F125, G350, G360, and H100. I listed those out because I'm better at reading that than that.
There was very few changes that we've made since first read. These are all the ones that came from the new legislation. The only changes that I made during it, there was a couple of grammar errors that we edited, and I officially removed any options that we had since I didn't hear from anybody and we weren't choosing any options. So if approved, these policies are ready to be taken, and Leslie will get them posted to the website.
I move to approve the policies.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Just a second, just a quick question. So they moved the requirement for board members to 18 years old now instead of 21?
I believe so, yes.
Is that right?
Is it that way or is it the other way around? It was
21. It said 18.
Then it's 18 now, yes, sir. I knew it was one way or the other, so I apologize.
So my question on that is, if you're a student, you're 18 years old, will you hold a position on the board?
Without looking it up, I don't believe so. I think you have to be a graduate and out of school, and that's the way I've always understood it. Rick, you don't know by chance, do you?
And hopefully summa cum laude.
Yeah, yes. I can confirm for you, sir.
I was just
It's, I get it too, that's a
Because
curious
if they're
question.
18 in August and they run in November and when, they could be a
Yeah.
board member in January until they graduate.
That's very true. I will actually
If
find
vote
out.
for president, they surely can be on school board.
It's true.
Yep.
So, no, good question.
Just curious.
Yeah.
That's the only question I have.
No, very good question.
Okay.
We might have just brought it up to somebody. Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
carries 5-0.
That is intriguing. I don't know the answer.
Okay, we will move on to superintendent report.
Thank you. Just real quick for me this evening, because I've seen a lot of the people lately to thank them. One, we had, and I know I said it in the memo this morning, and I feel like I just said this last year too. The first 3 days in school were about as smooth as they could be. And from bus routes to lunch to our principals, our admin team, our custodians, our drivers, you name it, everybody was prepared. And it was a wonderful first 3 days. And I've heard from a lot of very happy families, which is great. Also want to thank everybody involved in the Jeep event. That was fantastic. I know I heard you guys kind of talk about it earlier. I don't think with the weather we had that day, that couldn't have gone any better either. And $21,000 raised, which, you know, for us, that is fantastic. And that'll do a lot of stuff for our teachers in their classroom. And finally, we kick off athletics this week. So a lot of good luck to, I think, both soccer and volleyball start this week. So good luck as we start all these seasons. And especially want to recognize Coach Morgan, our cross-country coach. She has done a wonderful job of helping us start to build a cross-country team. I don't think we've had complete numbers to compete in a cross-country event in a long time, and I think I just heard the other day we have enough to compete in girls for sure, and we're getting closer to having a full boys team. So I just wanted to make sure we because that is not an easy sport to recruit people to, and she's doing a wonderful job. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 10. Board member comments. Start with Dave.
Thank you. Elaine and Mike are good folks at Marion Township, so
Yeah.
I was glad to hear good things.
She's doing a wonderful job.
I think she runs here, right?
Yes, yeah, and she's been, I mean, when she started, we had one runner,
Yeah.
and we're up to almost full teams now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, okay. Well, no more comments tonight. Just great to see everyone back in the school district. Everything seems to be smooth so far. Hopefully everyone stays healthy as we get to the beginning of the school year. You know how that goes. And everyone is staying cool out there. So best of luck, everybody. Let's have a great school year.
Nancy?
Yeah, just congratulations to everyone for getting off to such a great start. Officer Street, I'd like to tell you that I really liked your back to school picture.
Yes.
That was a highlight of one of my days. Thanks, Rick, for this presentation for the Latin honors. I'm really impressed with it and I like it. It seems like a way to spread the honors around more for more kids. I like it. That's it.
I'll just agree with my fellow board members. I have nothing more to add.
Buckle up when we get windy. Story time. I want to take a few minutes to remember and recognize the passing of one of our legendary educators and coaches here at Sheridan, Mr. Jim Sanborn. So, longtime art teacher, wrestling coach here at Sheridan, and I have a story to share, just kind of the big type of man that he was. So, Marion Township School, we had 3 crown jewel events. We had the carnival where we hoped that Dick Pickett sold a lot of refrigerators, so we had plenty of cardboard boxes to make tunnels out of. Track and field day in the spring, and then also our art fair. And as a second grade student, you know, we made our drawings and submitted for the art fair, and came into school and realized that I had won the second grade division of the art fair. So, you know, it's a great honor and everything, but when Mr. Sanborn came out for art class that week, he says, well, congratulations on your blue ribbon. I said, well, thank you. And he says, I was really kind of down to you and another student, and I was trying to decide, and a lady walked up, you know, in the hallway and was kind of looking and said, well, I think you ought to pick that one. She pointed to yours, and that's the one I picked. The only problem is I didn't realize it was your mother. So yeah, I can still, you know, 35 years later, 37 years later, I can remember that. But also, you know, more seriously, I remember him telling the story of being interred in a Japanese concentration camp, you know, in China as a youth. And I haven't read his book yet, and I've forgotten about it, and I just saw it, and I need to the story told to you as a, second or third grader 35 years later is very impactful, but, definitely wanna, recognize him and his family.
Well, I can't follow that up, so we'll close comment here. Our next meeting is, August 11th at 6:30 PM, and what are we calling this room?
Boardroom.
Boardroom.
MP1.
Multi-purpose.
Oh, it is not August, we need to update that on here. It's,
Oh.
August 11th. Our next meeting is September 8th.
Oh.
8th, and I will not be here, so. Is that right?
It is certainly Labor Day.
It is the 8th, yes.
Okay, the next meeting is August 8th at 6:30 in the boardroom. September 8th. Can you erase all that?
Rewind.
As, even with you, so it means if, we have to remember, we'll have a pre-bargaining
Yeah.
hearing right at that, that's one of the opening to the whole process.
Yeah. We'll talk to John.
Okay.
All right, our next meeting is in September. This is for the new cut. Okay. Our next meeting is September 8th at 6:30 PM in the boardroom. Okay. I'm looking for a motion to get me
So
out.
moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.